permission to rest. I invite you on an inquiry journey that explores our attitudes toward rest, not our conscious attitudes, what we think about the importance of rest, or how we advise our loved ones or friends or clients to rest, but what shows up in us as we find ourselves not busy, not occupied, not producing, not constantly making something useful in the world. We've talked about this concept of being a human being versus a human doing before. What many of us find when they free their hands and they just come into stillness, instead of peace, relaxation, ease, what we find is that there's a lot of thoughts, and oftentimes the intention behind these thoughts is to make us do something and to ask us to produce before we can rest. There's always something that we feel we need to do or accomplish or deserve, as if rest is something that we need to buy, as if it's a process just like the indulgences were in the Middle Ages, where people could buy off their sins. And this may be very subtle, very small voices in your head or ways that you think about rest, or it can be much larger. You could literally have thoughts that are harsh, that are blaming, that are shaming, that are self-critical when you leave your hands empty and stop producing and you just rest. There's this sense that you should be doing something else, or that you're missing out, or that you could be doing something productive with your time. However it shows up in your life, know that right now I'm inviting you to look at those patterns as archetypal patterns, as patterns that we all share, as patterns that are inherited in culture, that are inherited even sometimes through religion, that are inherited by certain societal norms or understanding of what a worthy human life is. And the reality is that you don't need to do anything to be a worthy human being. The very fact that you're born, that you are a human being here breathing with a beating heart, with emotions, with dreams, with a unique personality that will never be repeated, that you are a love to someone, that's what makes you worthy. You don't need to be doing anything to be worthy. And this becomes particularly difficult to those of us who live with chronic illness or live with some challenge where we cannot be constantly producing like much of culture makes us believe that we should. So what do we do? What do we do with those voices, with those archetypal, common to so many of us messages, especially to females, especially to moms? This can be so hard. It can be so devastating. I have a very simple invitation to you, and this is a practice that comes from Brené Brown, who many of you know, and it's to write yourself a permission slip. So you can pause this recording and you can go find a piece of paper and write yourself a permission slip. Write on it, I give myself permission to rest. Or use your own words around it, find your own language. And it can be something like, sweetie, you are allowed to rest. Or darling, or beloved, you are allowed to rest. And for many of us, when we first write this permission slip, emotions will come up. And whatever emotions come up, whether they're emotions that have to do with anger or sadness or grief or a sense of a missed opportunity, whatever the emotions are, meet them. Meet them with kindness, meet them with openness. They are here to inform you that this is something that's important. And sometimes we've been waiting a long time to give ourselves permission. So many of us come from childhoods where we were asked to be productive, to do chores, that we could never let down. We could never let down our guard, because somebody could just come and take our moments of precious rest, of connection with life and with our souls away from us. And so there's so much of this stored deep in our unconscious. So if emotions come up, it's okay. Be kind with yourself, meet them, and know that you're big now and you make your own rules. And giving yourself permission to rest is a radical act of self-love, self-acceptance, and courage in a culture that could devour you if you don't resist it in some way. You have my permission to rest, and I have my own permission to rest as somebody who guides you on this journey. So I hope you follow me in this invitation, and that you give yourself permission to rest, and you can really take it in as a part of this month's practice.